We're back after a little break for Easter. And of course, you know, life gets in the way sometimes, so didn't do a stream yesterday. And yeah, here we are. So, did a few things while off stream. And yeah, the main thing I want to do in this stream actually is go through those. And yeah, what we've done is we've essentially gone from 3 heroes to 16. And a lot of that is just very mindless form filling and making prefabs and copying and pasting them around. I'd spoken some streams about how this is not the way to do it. I shouldn't have been making all of these different prefabs. So we got all these different prefabs for all these different characters, because I just sort of felt that would be easier to like edit and manage and more sort of visual. I can change their stats here just by changing them, and it kind of makes sense. But actually, I should have done it in script. Would have been easier. But that's how you learn, isn't it? You try it out, and then you realize halfway through that actually this isn't the most optimal setup. I think it would be more work now to change it than it would be to just carry on with this setup. So one of the things I did this on stream, was make the black bean. So make all of these characters. Grave Robber, love the Grave Robber. It's a Plague Doctor. And yeah, a lot of, it's kind of like form filling, you know. So I've got my GM here, and I clicked and dragged all of the prefabs in, clicked and dragged all of the new weapons in, and that's a big chunk of the work. Still have to think about sound effects, still have to think about the visual effects. So yeah, here's all of our undead weapons. Still need to think about the visual effects, like the chain, and I do have a list of those. But I'm just been getting this kind of boring admin-y stuff out of the way. It's kind of like filling in forms. So yeah, I clicked and dragged the weapons, added the heroes in principle. So we go from 3 to 16 heroes. We're not going to add any more than that. It's a big chunk of work just writing their names in. Helped a lot having their names. So coming up with their names was a big part of that. Coming up with what their battle cries are going to be didn't take very long. I know these characters. I know what they're about. They just need something to shout when they do their move for the fun of it. Added the cancel quit panel and option. So yeah, when you quit the game from options, you get a little confirm message. I think that's just a sort of quality of life feature. I do need to just sort of upgrade the UI in general, but you know, it's a good thing to have. And yeah, the hero stuff. So what does it take to build a hero in this game? So I have to come up, besides designing it and coming up with who they are and what they're about, I needed to think about story a bit for that. So if you look at some of my earlier streams, you'll see that I went into quite a bit of detail about what the story should be. We actually have our notes of the story over here. These are our missions in the game with our bits of story that happen. And once that was done, I could confidently say, okay, yeah, these are our heroes. I haven't finished filling this in because it's not really much need, actually. It goes into the game. But yeah, 16 heroes, 4 for each faction. And that's, you know, set. If it changes, it changes. But at least we have a plan that we go ahead with, rather than sitting there for weeks and weeks messing with the plan. It's just, you know, we know that we're going to have this, and then if I want to change some of these, that's fine. But that big work of filling in these forms, and we have to put it in the title screen as well, make the heroes. I haven't and doing their descriptions, and just organizing them into their different factions. So yeah, we have, in theory, the heroes added and the prefabs made. And that's just kind of boring work. I didn't feel like it was necessary to do on stream. But I want to get the whole project into this live stream. You know, there's not a lot of people watching it, but I think after the fact, it's nice to have everything recorded. You know, why not? Kind of keeps me honest coming in for the streams. Been waking up later than 9 lately, so I thought, let's just wake up at 9 and do it, because you've got to treat it like a real job. And game development is hard. It's really hard. But you know, that's what it is. So yeah, had to figure out their starting upgrades, which again was pretty straightforward. We kind of know what they're going to have. We can always change it later, but yeah, I mean, each hero has some starting upgrades. Dark Shawn has the sword and the skeleton. Horseless Headman has the scythe and the ghoul, and so on. They each have their starting upgrades. And their ultimates in stub form. So, where is that? That is... Oh, didn't need to pin that. Yeah, so we have their battle cries, which is correctly a switch case here. And it's set up for localization. I haven't actually localized it, but it's, you know, the stub of the code is there. And then again, we check who is being called. And I'm doing if statements here, which isn't very clean, but it's not going to have any material effect on performance. It's just a matter of, you know, best practices, which is a matter of, yeah, it's not going to make any difference, really. I could do this into a switch case, and I find the best way to do that nowadays is just to feed it into an AI and just say, look, here's a bunch of if statements. Can you just change that into a switch case? But, you know, I just don't see the need right now. And yeah, so you can see a lot of these are empty because we haven't actually set up their ultimates. Setting up the ultimates is going to be a specific job that's going to take about a day or more to do these for each of the characters. Some of them are easier than others, especially the rain effects. You just kind of take, for example, we could do this right now. We could take Beanie's one and go over to Felicity and say, here's Arrow Rain, and we're going to say Blizzard. Is it Blizzard? I need to double check that. So we'll go into weapons, and have we named it Blizzard? Yeah, we have named it Blizzard. Blizzard. Yeah. So in theory, this should make it so that Rainmaker.name is Felicity's Rain, and it makes Blizzard. Simple, simple, simple. Big chunk of code here, but you know, it's fine. We can change the frequency here, and yeah, that's that. Basma, he revives people. I think I just need to do like a big revive move, but you know, it just needs doing. Needs a bit of thought. It's not the kind of mindless form filling that I have been doing. And the battle cries, yep, I did that, and the sprites did that. We still need to draw all of the stuff for the undead, for the demon faction, but we have the undead faction in the game now, so that's nice. Right. So now we have a list. We have some visual effects that is basically a mixture of drawing and programming to get the so the chain effect. It will work visually, and we can use the chain lightning as a placeholder just to see that it's working. But we ought to have a different visual that looks like a chain instead of some lightning. Simple stuff. And the lantern effect, it's a beam weapon. It's basically going to be the ice beam, but with a different color, different vibe, different, you know, just different effect, but it's the same shape. And yeah, so you get the idea. And then there's a couple bugs, and I have programmed the confirm quit panel, but just because I've not been in a sort of testy fixy mood, I haven't actually tested it. And then yeah, program each ultimate. Make sure the undead faction works completely. So try it out, you know, just make sure all of that, like now that we have this new faction in the game. Big chunk of new content. So it's an enemy that you can play against, and it's an ally you can play as, and that's cool. And then update the builds, put that all in the beta and the demo and stuff. You know, I don't think I'll include the undead within the demo, but we'll see. And then sound effects, a whole new string of artifacts for the undead based on reviving. So when you revive a unit, what happens? Fill hero roster. Well, we've kind of done that. This is the thing that we've actually done. We've filled the hero roster, but we still have the demons to do. but that kind of comes under the demons. And sort combo achievements. So there's achievements for getting the combo abilities, and I just need to write those out. That's pretty sort of mindless, but you know, maybe we'll do it on stream, maybe I'll do it off stream. And there we go. So now we are caught up. So the next thing on the list, I'm not going to question the order of the list. I'm just going to get moving. So we have a script called enemy spawner. And so how do we choose which enemies pop in? Because I'm not manually saying make 5 of these, then make 10 of these, and so on. We have a script that works for basically you fill up lists and then it randomly kind of fills from those lists. So we have common list, rare list, special list. So yeah, just the enemies that spawn, and they spawn on an interval and they have a max amount of units, and it's a list of enemies. So the common list contains goblin, and then after about 10 seconds it also contains goblin archer, and then as we progress we get rid of the goblin and we add the level 2 goblin, and so on. And the rare list has the sort of ones that aren't supposed to appear so frequently, and then the specialist is like the little boss tier units. And then we have packs, which is how do these large groups of enemies can form at once, and they tend to have a leader, and they tend to have again spawn interval, a size, and we just modify those. So we can say as time goes by, it's a pack of goblins with a drummer, and we can say, right, now this is going to spawn every 20 seconds instead of every 30 seconds, and that's how it progresses. And you can see the time here. We wait a number of seconds and then we add them to the list. So that's how it works. And I find that this ends up, as you can see, it's not an incredibly long bit of script. Once that's all set up, the script to spawn in a bunch of enemies is quite straightforward. And we can edit this as we go, and it's not that difficult. So we're going to end up with 4 of these, and it shouldn't be too difficult. If we want to change something what's one place, we'll change it in a bunch of places. But I have been quite careful. I've done a lot of tests against the green bean faction, and so really I kind of just need to take this. Well, let's take the human one. And so yeah, the human one is much the same. And I need to make one for the undead, which will have equivalents. We shouldn't be using strings here, but we are. And we'll call this black beans 1. And then we just need to go through each of these. So what I can do is kind of like a full find and replace. So I'm going to highlight the whole thing. And I'm going to go find me soldier and replace it with skeleton. So this is really simple. It's fairly boring, but I think maybe it's interesting for you to see how, because you know it did take a lot of thought actually to think about how best to make this spawner machine. I think I did this before I was live streaming. So yeah, then we take ranger. And we're going to see, yeah, I have to highlight the whole thing again. Yeah, see, this is really bloody annoying. Anyway, so let's select that. And we're going to search for ranger and replace it with skeleton ranger. Is it skeleton archer, I think? Well, if not, then it should be easy to fix. Whichever one it is, skeleton ranger, skeleton archer. I can't actually remember. You'd think I should, but I don't. So we got skeleton rogue. What is the equivalent of a rogue? So I'm going to manually type in here rogue, and that is a ghoul in this context. It's not going to be 1-to-1, or at least it may not be, but at least it's 1-to-1 is a good starting point. So the equivalent of a shield bearer is a grave guard. Oh, yeah. Shield. Bear with me. Shield bearer becomes grave guard. And I think it's good that I can do this mostly from memory, so yeah. And then priest becomes necromancer. So priest becomes necromancer. And that might have to change. Necromancers might actually turn out to be really powerful. We might have to make them come in a bit more rarely. We'll see. Berserker becomes, and I'm going to consult my list here. See, I already have this mirror open, don't I? So I'm going to go over and look at, so while the Berserker is over here, so the undead equivalent of a Berserker is either a vampire or a zombie. So I'm going to put vampire for now. No, I'm going to put zombie. Berserker becomes a zombie. And then when I continue, I'm going to just add vampire wherever I've added zombie. Just as a starting point. Skeleton Archer. Witch becomes a, so magic, witch is magic too. But I think we're actually adding witch and mage together, but that would be a ghost. So let's change mage for ghost. And let's change witch to mad scientist. And let's change, okay, and then what else have we got? Got the tier 2 ones, but I'm just focusing on the tier 1 ones for now. Ghost Bannerman. Bannerman is a grave. So we take Bannerman and we change that to grave. And what else have we got? Grave Ghoul, Skeleton Zombie. Okay, so now we're going to do the tier 2 ones. So Assassin is the evolved ghoul, so Assassin would become white. Yeah, the whites aren't actually fast like Assassins are, so that should be interesting. We'll see how that goes. We might have to change their leader to something else. Oh, see, I didn't mean to do that. It's lost the selection. So I just need to select it again. Assassin. White. And then Bard. So a Bard used to be an evolved Bannerman. A Bard becomes a Tomb. And that should do it for all the different tiers as well. Paladin becomes so what is Necromancer plus see it's not 1-to-1, so let's just do it in order. Tomb. Blacksmith would be grave plus, so yeah, it's a bit different, but it kind of doesn't matter. Actually, I think what I want to do here, yeah, so white ghoul, white tomb, and then let's just do it from top to bottom. Blacksmith, because these are the tier 2 units. Like they're quite rare. They're all equal to each other in terms of how often they appear. So Blacksmith becomes yeah, top to bottom edgelord. Engineer becomes Tomb Raider. Fire mad scientist. Okay, because fire witch, I see. Yeah. So I'm going to say fire mad scientist becomes mad scientist. Mad scientist. Frost ghost. Frost ghost becomes ghost. Except, yeah, there we are. So I'm gonna have to be a bit clever about this. No, I'm gonna undo that. Why is it not undoing? Okay, redo everything. Undo, so that we have Frost, Fire Witch. No. Frost Ghost, Fire Mad Scientist. Okay, so Fire Mad Scientist becomes, and it doesn't really matter, but I'll just go Blood Mage. Yeah. And then Frost Ghost becomes Banshee. And then we have Night. So we've got, have we got Revenant? So okay, Night can become Revenant. Banshee, Blood Mage. Oh yeah, so then Lord. We haven't gone Shadow Knight yet, so Lord becomes Shadow. And we're going to go case sensitive so that it doesn't catch the Edgelord. Shadow Knight. And we've lost our selection. What's changed over here? Lord becomes Shadow Knight. So now I fear that I might have made some mistakes, but let's keep ploughing on. So then Blood Mage, Banshee, Revenant, Shadow Knight. So we just got 2 left. I think the Tower, so the Paladin, so yeah, the Tower can become Tomb. And finally the Paladin can become Vampire Lord. Paladin becomes Vampire Lord. And then, because there are more units within the undead, we have to add them separately. So I'm going to find, so we need to add the zombie. So I'm going to find wherever we've added the vampire. Vampire. We also want to add so every time we've added zombie, so yeah, every time we add zombie, we should also add vampire. And then it's just going to be either or, like it's not going to add more enemies, it's just going to be, could be a zombie, could be a vampire. So yeah, vampire. Right. And we want flesh golem. Vampire. Flesh golem. Vampire. flesh golem, and then we want to look for zombie. And every place that we've added zombie, we want to also add vampire. To the same pack. And of course, yeah, like I said, it might not have that level of symmetry, but it's a good place to start. The skeletons getting added to the rare list? I guess it does. I don't know why. Should be common list. It's getting added there and there. Okay, I'm not going to question it. That's not what I'm here to do today. Can always change these later. And I mean, the sad thing is that if I change something that applies to all 4 factions as enemies, I'm going to have to do it 4 times, which is not ideal, but this is the best setup I could think of at the time. But yeah, I'm confused as to why these ones would be added to the... I feel like that might be a mistake. But we'll see. Okay, I already did it there. Okay, good. Good, so we're caught up. Alright, so that should be that. I mean, it's at least the starting point, and then I can play with it, and if it doesn't seem to work, then I can deal with it then. And then it's just like, while I'm here, I know it's boring. I know it's not the most exciting thing to be doing, but I am just going to go ahead and do future Otis a favor and do the demon beans as well. Just so that at least we have our base clay to mold. So we go spicy beans. I do need to change them. I'm not going to lean so hard into the beans thing. And yeah, I'm calling it 1 because there might be more. There might be different ones that I can try out. And yeah, so again, we just want to take soldier. And so I'm looking at this now, and it's the same archetypes over to the demon faction. So we go soldier becomes demon. I've got it on my second screen as well. So soldier. So we select this, then we do Control F, then we do soldier becomes demon. Ranger becomes imp. Rogue becomes hound. Gremlin becomes looter becomes gremlin. So mage becomes cultist. Witch becomes occupaba. shield, oh no, shield bearer becomes floating shield. Still not sure about that one, but we'll see as we go. Healer, priest becomes goat. Bannerman becomes succubus. And berserker becomes gargoyle. Okay, and now we just need to look at the tier 2 stuff. So assassin. Okay, yeah, we've lost our selection, so let's do that again. And we'll just do it from top to bottom again, right? So we'll do assassin. Well, yeah, should I just do, if I can have both of these on my screen. Knight becomes Wrathkin. Do we not have any instances of knight? Ah, see, some of my, see, I'm such an idiot. Okay, I think it's just the one. So I need to grab this and fix this mistake. So I need to find Revenant and replace it with Knight. And I ought to do, and now, oof. Let me just double check that I haven't made any more of the same mistake. No, not there anyway. So then we select this again. And we look for Revenant and we replace it with Wrathkin. Yep. And then Cerberus. So assassin becomes Cerberus. Lord becomes Krampus. Engineer becomes Flame Lord. Frost, yeah, okay, so Frost Cultist becomes Tentacle. And then what is it going to be? It's going to be like Fire Occupaba becomes Legna. It's angel backwards. Then we have Tower becomes Floating Mirror. Really not sure about that one. We'll have to see how it plays out. Goat. So then Paladin becomes Satyr. And then Bard becomes Gorgon. And Blacksmith becomes, and let's check all the others, yet, becomes Demon Wall. Very good. Okay, so in theory, we have the base clay to mold with for, you know, we have our stuff to work with, and there's none to add or remove. It's the same number of units. Okay, so that's that done. I can, you know, I will surely have some things to fix, some things to balance, but at least it's there. Okay. Now, the next thing that I'm going to have on my list is to draw all of these things. But I hate drawing, as you know, if you've been watching these streams. I don't hate it, but it really doesn't come naturally to me. I prefer programming. I prefer designing. So drawing these things is going to be a bit of a pain to me. I like to have a clear runway, everything else done, and just that left, and that's generally enough to motivate me to do this kind of thing. I'm going to have to dash around a bit between, using the word dash, I'm going to have to dash around a bit between bits of code and making prefabs and drawing in Piskel, and I just find that a bit exhausting. We have a bug with the artifact rerolls. I need to figure that out. Test, confirm, quit panel. And then actually, if I've done these, I can actually go ahead and update the builds, which of course I'll do off stream. Text and fips, undead faction. Yeah, so I just need to try this out. Program each new ultimate. I'm more likely to do some of those. Not all of them, but some of them. So let's go in and... So the rain ones. So Felicity, Lucy does meteors. We might change the name Lucy. It's just a kind of cute way of being shorthand for Lucifer. And it's as simple as this. Frequency and everything can change, but basically that's that. So I'm going to collapse the ones that are done. And then Dushata. So we could have like a lightning storm type vibe. But I think it's sort of... I don't know, like it's going to be tough to balance, but I think he should have, instead of like some rain effect, just like a chain lightning that has like infinite chain, basically. And I don't really... I mean, it's probably not too difficult, but just to simply cast a spell is quite tricky, because I'm going to have to basically, when we make a new weapon, so what's this? Make AoE effect. Okay, so we take the target position, we take the weapon, we take the prefab that we're using, the shooter, and the target lists. So let's... And then the buff. So fortunately, and then for Cruel, this needs to be for his whole gang. So Cruel creates a buff which increases attack speed, but actually we don't want it to be add buff. We want it to be, so buff all, random buff all. Okay. So how do we do it? Make random buff. So how do we do it when, critical buff. Random buff all. Okay, because it's a random buff. Okay, so essentially we just want to make a new one of these, which would be buff all. Without the random, and this is going to do much the same thing, except we don't have to. Yeah, so for it's very simple. For each character in Team 0, I mean in team, so the character who's doing it, it is actually only going to be the team, but I just want to do that right. It's going to be the team of the character who's doing this, and we need our buff. Okay, and then so Where's Rock High? Do we not have that? Ultimate. Bloody hell. Right. So Rock High should apply to all. However, it doesn't need to be quite so strong. So let's half it. Still pretty strong. And let's reduce the time to 4 seconds. So instead of, so it used to be that just the hero would get a massive increase to attack speed. But I think it's better if yeah, we just go. Yeah, the hero gets an incredible boost to attack speed for 6 seconds. But actually, again, just thinking about how this game is, it's better. You could still have a unit that only buffs themselves, but I've decidedly made that a demon trait, because this game is all about working with your army. I want to lean into our USP a bit more. So it's better to have this one as, like, does it for everyone, but just a bit less strong. Okay? And then we can use that. And what Rowan does is he does, I don't know, King's Blessing. And we just need this. So, So he's going to buff all the units, but he's also going to heal them. So we could do heal all allies. Very good. And then we just need the amount. So he's going to heal everyone a good chunky 50, let's say. And he's going to give them all a buff to, we could just say armor. And armor buffs need to be more in the sort of point range. So, yeah, everyone gets, like, everyone's invincible, basically. So we could just go ahead and go, like, 1, you're invincible for, everyone's invincible for 4 seconds. That's, you know, balancing, we don't know. A spreadsheet can't do it because there's too many variables. Let's see how that works. Because obviously attacking is more powerful than defending, but you know, this is heal and defend. If we wanted to do more like buff all stuff, like we could say like buff all. What does the Bannerman do? So then we need to have a look at buffs. It's a shame this is all on the same script, but add buff. And it's going to have to scroll around a lot. So what does the banner do? Banner does armor and damage. You see how that works? So if I make a buff that does more than one thing, I kind of have to like, but I could just say, give me like banner and something else, but I think probably best just to keep it simple, especially because adding multiple buffs is going to mess with the procs. So like, again, this is quite interesting because if we have artifacts that proc on buffs, this is going to be good, isn't it? So yeah, Rowan, not the battle cries, the things. Yeah, I'm losing time by just navigating around here. Yeah, I think King's Blessing is fine. So everyone just gets an armor buff, and they get a heal. No need to do any more than that. We could change the timing, but basically it's a priestly move: protect and heal. And then Jack is going to dash forward in the last used direction and damage any unit it passed, or just kind of create a like a shape, like so. Yeah, make AOE effect. So dash forward in last use direction. So add. We could just do like a knockback, but I want him to like. So yeah, this is just something that we're not really equipped to do, because I want him to knock back, but then I guess I want him to knock anyone out of the way. Like he needs to be able to go through people. And the other thing, just while I'm here, max mana. So that is on the prefab. I believe that's on the prefab. So I need to go to my hero. And there's going to be two heroes that are like this. We've got, so characters, heroes. Heroes should be in characters. And we've got Jack. There he is. And his max mana is lower. So, okay, do we have max mana? Okay. Yeah, it should be. Max health. Okay, there it is. Yeah, it's been silly. So it's going to be like half. So it's a less powerful ultimate, but it charges twice as quickly. Why is that useful? I think that's really cool because you can get some artifacts which proc on. You can get artifacts which proc on doing an ultimate, and if he's doing his more often, that can actually be pretty insanely good. So yeah, that should be fun. And it's Jack and the Horseless Headman, as far as I know for now, that will have shorter, like less max mana. They'll charge it quicker. Okay. So here we are looking at Jack. And yeah, I really need to like there's just too much stuff happening in this character script. It means I'm really having to like scroll around. So damage any unit it passed. We can do like make AoE effect. gm.make.c.make AoE effect. And the target position would be so it's just a very simple dash he's going to do that, just like with like a sword effect that does damage. So we have some like bespoke weapon effects like explosion, which we kind of use, we use for things like this. So we're going to need to make more of those. So we have explosion, and then we have, Jack dash, and it does like about the damage of an explosion, I would think. And the effect prefab would be, I don't know, like sword effect, the same as the sword effect, and the attack sound would be sword. Could we just say sword dot no get weapon sword dot sound, and I guess I'll just do the same here. Okay. And so that's part of it. So if we then say, yeah, gm.c.make AoE effect at, so let's vector 3 position equals new vector 3, and we won't worry about what's there for now. So position. Weapons, get weapon. Do we really have to go gm.c.weapons, get weapon, jack dash, effect prefab. You'd think that the, like, why doesn't the effect prefab come from, I'm not going to question it. You'd think that you could just take the same, but I think there's different things I can do here. And then shooter is this, and target lists is target lists. So who is going to be damaged by this, and what's wrong here? Game object. No, what's the problem? Okay, so what are we asking for here? We're asking for, oh, okay, when we do a get weapon, we have to, no? Game object AoE effect. So we are asking for an AoE effect, AoE, yeah, dot. Okay, I'm going to have a look at AoE effect, and then we're going to look at AoE prefab, and we're going to, like, because I would think that would just come from the weapon itself, but I guess not always, and I'm just kind of not going to question it too much, although here I am questioning it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I'm not going to question it too much. I don't think it makes much material difference. So we'll just do it like that. That's fine. Okay. And so I think in theory, this should work, but we still need the dash effect. And I'm not really equipped to suddenly make it so that the hero, like, we would want to turn off the collider so that he can move through enemies for a bit. So, and is this a coroutine? Because, yeah, we would have to turn off his collider for a little bit. Yeah, it is a coroutine. So we would have to say collider. Do we even have that stored? Get component collider dot set act enabled equals false. So he cannot be hit by anything, and he will not interrupt anything. And then we do the thing, and then we wait yield. Return new wait for seconds 0.2 f. See how this, we'll have to time it, and then collider dot enabled equals true. And now for the movement, so I think we can just use like knockback, but then I think probably better just to, I'm just going to put a squiggle here so I can easily find it again. Knockback knock back, and we just do this. And then the direction, yeah, so we need to figure out which direction to knock him back into. So add force, and then when we add force, let's just say like 20 or like 10, and we want, and then how do we get the direction? I guess it would be, so when we go to player controller movement, so can we go move direction? And then if move direction is like 0, so like if you're not moving, let's just see how that plays out, because I want to make it that if move direction is like nothing, then don't do anything. And then we've got, where does it go? Where do we put this? I think we can just put this, and then basically we're going to want to see how that plays out. So, and again, because I'm not quite in a testy mood, I'm going to make a note here, test and fix Jack Ultimate. And basically I can just kind of do, for Headless Horseman, it's going to be much the same, except he's not going to dash. Sorry, Horseless Headman. And we don't do the dash, so we don't need this. And we don't need this. We just make an AoE effect, and we can go to weapons, and we can make a new weapon basically, which is Headman, Horseless Headman slash, and I guess it would be like 20 AoE. We're really gonna have to like figure out these numbers, but I just want to get it functional, and I just want to sort of get like most of the lines in there, even if I have to edit them later a bit, right? So like in theory this will just work, and it will just do like a slash, but I need to test it. Okay, and then Cruel, that's easy. Dushatar, well, let's do, so Dushatar is going to do a big chain lightning effect. So let's just Dushatar lightning, and we essentially want how do we do copy weapon? So I want to make a copy of Chain Lightning. Okay, yeah, so we'll call this new weapon, and then weapons.add new weapon, and new weapon.chain equals like 20. So like it's just got an absurd number of chains that it can do. And then in theory that should just work. So then what he does is the same thing that a weapon container does when it does a chain attack. So we need to do because yeah, we can't just make a chain effect out of nowhere. So we go chain attack, nearest target, and weapon, and we do weapons.getWeapon. We just do one of these, gm.c.weapons.getWeapon, Dushatar. And that should do it. That'll interfere with his weapon container, maybe. So we might have to jig that around a little bit. Like most of the time, his weapon will be a chain lightning weapon, but like what we can do is just to kind of, this is a bit fiddly, but dot attack time dot no, can we not edit that? Okay. Just reset his weapon as well, so he'll do it immediately. Yeah, that should work. Just wait a frame before doing the next part. Yeah. Okay. That, like, again, so I need to test all of these. So I'm just gonna make like test and fix each hero's ultimate. Don't need a capital F on fix. How much time did I just waste on something that has no difference? 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Right, so I'm confident this will work. We'll see about this. We'll see about this, and then pick. What pick does is he summons some chicken. So let's look at chicken rain. So where do we do that? Chicken rain, rain of chicken, make rainmaker. And then we have our rainmaker. So rain of chicken does in fact use a rainmaker. Item effect. Oof. Okay, so I think we do just want to use the so GM make rain. So the rain effect will be null. The AoE effect so let's just fill this form in. So null, 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 chicken. So where do we get chicken from? Where do we get chicken from? Okay, so we do use it's going to be some like fairly fiddly code, but that's kind of what we need. gm.c.weapons. So we want this dot effect prefab. That's just where it's stored in this case. I mean, I don't know if there's an easier way to get to the chicken, but and shooter is this, but it doesn't really matter, and radius is 5f, let's say, and we want to do that int I equals, let's say 4. How many chickens is he going to make? 4. Let's start with 4. While I is greater than 0. Yeah, it's just greater than equal to 0. Because it's only happening once, so I just need to find some like fiddly way I can do it. And then yeah, so while I int I equals 0, while I is less than 4, I plus plus. So So that should just like spawn 4 chickens. And let's see if that number's correct. Let's see if that makes sense. I mean, 4 chickens can be quite powerful. It's healing your whole army, but it's also synergizing with chicken effects, which can be quite powerful. We could also reduce the amount of mana that it costs for him to do this. Okay, and then lure, here's another funky one. So when an enemy dies, so we go drop item. Okay, yeah. So his ultimate should basically be like, yeah. So where do we get our random roll? So we just do a random value. So we just do. So it would need to just do a random thing from the list. Okay, so, and it's a pain that this is on the same script because it means that I can't like, it shouldn't really be on the same script. Here we go. Le. We say, and it could be, and what's the item going to be? Then we do this bracket, right? What is do we call it an item? No, we just want a game object. Be a bomb, could be a magnet, collector. God, magnet's the name. Could be a chicken, you could get unlucky. Bomb, collector, chicken, or it could be a mana. Or it could be beans. What do we call it? Summoner, prefab. So you're going to get one of these random items. Oh, and a chest. It could be a chest. So it's like a bit of a luck of the draw thing. Right? And then the item, drop item. Nice and simple. So get me a random object from that list. So it could be a bomb, could be a collector. And I think that's pretty powerful because it's like, yeah, a bomb is really, really good. Really, really powerful thing to get. But you could just get a chicken. You could just get a mana gem, which is not... Obviously, if you get a mana gem, that's like a straight loss, isn't it? So it's like a bit of luck of the draw. And I think that's fun. Could be a collector, which might be really good. You might not need a collector. Could be a summoner, which depends on how good your army is. Could be a chest, which could just be a single upgrade, but that could be insane. I guess Lure would be the character. Like if you get the chest, then oof, good, well done, you know. Because that's how you would get like insane runs. You get like a legendary chest, and then you do it again and get another legendary chest, and boom, you're way ahead of the curve. So yeah, I just want to code all of these in principle and then get into like a testing phase. I know that that's generally not the way to do it. So Sean's is exactly the same. Felicity is an easy one. Basma. So how do we do this? So resurrect. Point weapon at target. So what do we do? Get nearest dead target within range. I don't know why I capitalized dead there. Point weapon at target. If, and then revive it. Raise undead. Team corpse strength. Okay, but we have like an AoE here. Okay, yeah. There we are. So something along this line. So distance. So yeah, we still need to get the nearest dead. So let's take all of this then. Get nearest dead target within range. Except it's going to be, no, we don't need the nearest dead target within range. So the distance is going to be and yeah, it's not weapon, so it's going to be like 10. So vector3 dot distance. What are we doing here? I'm a bit lost with the code. So we just want to create like a for each character in dead list. If vector3 dot distance character dot transform position transform dot position. So if it's close enough to me, is less than, let's say 10, 15, 20. Let's go 20 and let's see if that's too high. Raise undead. Raise undead character. So then we go. So which team are we reviving them to? We're reviving them to my team. Corpse is character. And strength is what do we do with strength? Raise undead strength. It's like, okay, so the strength implies like how powerful is the buff, and then how long are they going to be around for. We might need to lower the amount of time they're generally up for. So we don't have a weapon. So yeah, we can get rid of this. So the strength would be, let's say, let's say it's a good one. Let's say it's 4. And then just out of interest, so strength is 0.56. Okay, so it doesn't go up by a lot. So we could say 1 is probably fine. So like, or 0.5 is probably fine. And say 1 is fine. Let's see how that goes. Because this is ultimate. It should be a powerful summon. And that should do it. That should be it. Anything within 20 units will be revived as an undead, which is incredibly powerful. It's probably going to need nerfing. We're probably going to need to make it smaller, or make the strength like less powerful, or just generally change some things about reviving. But at least the code is there. That's what I'm trying to do today. I'm not trying to like get anything right. I just want it in there so that I have less work to do later when I'm like in a more creative mood. Okay, spicy beans. Okay. Oh wow. So, oh cool. Yeah. So that's the humans, the orcs, the undead, and that would just leave the demons, which is pretty cool. Archibald will do his sacrifice thing, but I could like leave that for later. Okay, I'm gonna go for a quick toilet break. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, as you can see, I've got a lot of these little fiddly things to do. And what I'm trying to do as well is like stack up a bunch of things. So that, yeah, I'm just kind of in work mode before I get into play mode. But I'm kind of like, so yeah. I mean, we can do this. So we've also got this other consume thing. So it's just it's a bit awkward. Consume. So what does consume do? I mean, what we could do is just write it again from scratch. So we're going to do the same thing. So for each character, so Archibald, what he'll do is he will drain life from his allies and gain power. What does power mean? There's the fun part, right? But for each character in team, we will damage them, and if they're within, let's say 20, we will damage them. So take character dot take damage, and how much, and then we need to fill in this form. So we will say they each take, let's say 10. Just and at this point I'm cooking, I'm sprinkling salt by feel, seasoning by feel. Piercing true, so it's not blockable or anything like that. Crit chance is 0. Lifesteal is 0. Oh yeah, lifesteal can be, so we'll just do like a lifesteal attack on our allies. So we'll say how does lifesteal work? Lifesteal over here, lifesteal is greater than 0. Damage times lifesteal. So that is a percentage between 0 and 1. Okay. Lifesteal, so that would be, I guess, 1. He's just going to take, I mean, we could do 2 and it would be twice the damage he deals, but I think 1 is fine. And the damager is this. Okay. So straight away, so we don't need to like damage and then heal ourselves, and then piercing is 0. Oh no, piercing is 10. And then, so everyone takes damage and our guy gets a buff. So then we say, and then, yeah, buff, add buff, and we will make a new buff like demon, or we could use existing buffs. No, I think new buff, and the name will be Archibald Wrath. It's never going to appear, but you know, let's just be thematic. And the stat is Archibald's Wrath, because we're going to write a bespoke one here. And it's going to be like a value of 0.5. And debuff is false. Permanent is false. Time is 4. And sprite is null. I mean, we could see it. It could be, let's just see if it appears. Character sprite renderer dot sprite renderer 0 dot sprite. So it's just going to be his face squished up, and then we can change that later, but just so that we have that. Did we miss one? Visible, debuff, permanent, time, sprite. Oh, okay. So yeah, then we've got visible is, I guess, true. Yeah, and then buffer is this. So he will get the benefit of having buffed himself. And then we go into add buff. And let's collapse. Okay. Where do we actually add the buff? So it's a bit messy here. Okay, here we are. Modify the stats. So if case, and then we make Archibald's Wrath. And it would be armor, like it would be everything. Armor, damage, attack speed, armor, damage, attack speed, move speed, AOEX. What else do we have? Crit rate. Yeah, crit rate. Just everything. Yeah, that should do it. If we think of another one, we can add it. And then what we need to do is go over to debuff. Go over to when the buff is removed. And we just go minus. And I think that should do it. He hurts his allies in exchange for power. The demons are, because they're the enemies, you know, they're the inverse of the USP. It's all about making a single strong hero rather than very strong allied units. So let's see how that goes. Okay. Archibald. So then we go back to, and I think it's over here. I know this is messy as hell. But this is what we have, and I can tell this is our yeah, and then this one. Okay, so we go for each list character team in target lists. For each character. So this time we're looking at enemies in team. If we're within, let's say, 10, we want to, and I need to think about how this will work, because what we want to do is charm them. So add buff, new buff, charmed. Okay, so this, and I haven't worked charmed into the game, so let's see how this goes. Charmed value is kind of redundant, but let's just say 1. Debuff is true. Permanent equals false. Time equals, let's say, 4. Sprite equals, we should have some kind of heart buff. Archibald ulti buff sprite Itisilef ulti debuff sprite, and so there's going to be some kind of heart buff. So, but for now we'll just go null. And it's visible, although we're never actually going to see it because it's only ever going to happen on the enemy. So actually, but yeah, we need the visual effect as well. And buffer is this. Okay. And now we need to have a look at add buff, and we need to think about how this is going to work. So we go charmed, and we say team equals, so it's like, because we want to use the buff system because the buff system is good, but so could an enemy be charmed, could an ally be charmed to the enemy's team? Yes, so it does have to be team specific, because I think it's going to be as simple as changing the team. And there might be things like we need to temporarily change their... I mean, it's quite similar to Raise Dead, right? So if we go down here and look at undead debuffs, so we remove from the team, and then they're dead. And then if they come back, it's like they're added to the team properly again. But what we want to do is just change their team. So charmed might be its own thing. So we could do like a coroutine, i.e. numerator charm, and we'll do, and then just for the visual we'll do the buff. So add buff, and then we'll do what we did there. So we go back down here and we say charmed, new buff, charmed. And then we can store that somewhere else. So add buff, new buff, charmed, false, and they can never buff the hero. So I need that they can never charm the hero. Can't be charmed. So we'll go if, and so they should never try and charm the hero. Make sure charm can never target hero. So we'll never see it. We'll never see this debuff on the, you know, we don't need a sprite for it, but we do need the visual effect for it. So visible is false and buffer is, so we need a buffer, character buffer, charmer. Okay. And I think we should store time because it could vary in time. So float time, and then this would be time. Wait 4 seconds, time. And we will say team equals charmer.team, charmer team.remove this, team equals charmer.team, charmer.team add this, and then we reverse that. So then we say team.remove this, team equals, and then we would say list character whole team equals team. So old team equals old team charmer dot team dot remove this. That I feel like that should work. I don't see why that wouldn't work. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, but this seems like it will charm someone. And so when charmed happens, we'll do the same thing that we do for... Yeah, we need to find status effect. So we just need to like make them a bit pink. Status effects, will find charm. Set active true. Yeah. And then we just need to do the same for when the buff goes away. So that's just the visual effect coming from the buff. And then so what she's going to do is she's going to go character.start coroutine charm character.charm, and charm has this and 4 seconds. And like I'll test it, but basically that's enough to be like starting to test with. I think that's good. That works. All right. And then floater. Oh, we're there. We're almost there. Okay, lovely. This has been a nice little session. Okay, so then we want to do floater is going to do add buff, new buff, floater debuff. What should we call it? Like pet plague. Plagued. Value stat is plagued, and we'll have to write another buff for this. Value is 0.5f, and it's just going to debuff everything. True, it is a debuff. Permanent, false. Time, 4 seconds. Sprite. We're never going to see this, so no. We don't need to draw a sprite for this because it will only ever happen on the enemy, although it should have a visual effect. But that will come with the buff, and visible is false, and character buffer is this. Okay, and that should work. And now again, we just need to go down into page down. Where did I go? Where did I go? Yeah, buff. And we make a new one, which basically, so for frozen, like, so we have some negative debuffs. Okay, so when we do a debuff, we need to do a negative value. So plagued, and just before I forget, it is a negative value that we're looking for here. So minus 0.5. So we're going to be adding the negative value. Makes no difference either way, but I just like to be consistent. So if we find frost, yeah, the speed plus equals attack speed plus equals, because it's by a negative value. Okay, and I guess we'll just take all of these. I mean, we want it to just be this killer debuff that just really hurts, right? So let's just do that for now, and we can think about what actually does it look like. It just makes you weaker straight away. I'm thinking that straight away I'm thinking that it shouldn't be 50%. It should be more like 2.5, just to even it out. And you know, that's going to be a pretty powerful debuff that happens on all the enemies, which is cool. You could go even further and say, well, what if we actually just added multiple negative existing buffs That works. It could even just be a random debuff, which would have the advantage of, because we're adding a bunch of debuffs, that means that it's going to proc debuff effects more often, right? Which is pretty powerful. But you know what? Before, we're not worried about balancing. We're just worried about having something in this slot that's like, okay, we can try that. We can see how it feels. We can see if it's balanced, if some characters feel better than others. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, let's do 20 range. We'll have to see. We might need a visual effect, although I don't know if it's necessary. Like, we'll see them all get sick. But maybe we could have this like big cloud of gas appear. Yeah. Same with the heal, like just some big little mini holy light appear. Charmed debuff effect. And I guess we're gonna want like make visual AoE effect for each ultimate, because I'm gonna basically, there's gonna be a day where I am moving between Piskel and the animator and a bit of code to sort of say, okay, well, we would like we would just instantiate a big like red cloud or something, you know, for this one, or some sort of unholy thing, just to sort of have a visual effect for it, besides the actual visual effect of the thing happening. But yeah, that's a big achievement for this morning, I think, is having programmed all of these in principle. We still have charm to do. Do we have charm as like a weapon? Like, I don't even know if... So I'm looking at... I'm going to close this one. I'm looking at the demons, and I'm saying, is there like a thing that does charm? So the succubus, so like a weapon. We've got mirror. And like, what weapon would the succubus have? Right? I think they've been having claw for now. But what if we changed this to some kind of... So we've got sacrifice, consume, those are good. But do we have charm? So like make one of the enemy team join you for a bit, which just kind of depends on the strength of the enemy. It's like having units. So we could have... so we've got our shield, which is a mirror. Like, there's not really space for it. Like, I'm happy with all of these. Basically, the demons are very good with magic. All of their weapons evolve into an elemental version. They have 3 magical attacks, which are, you know, from the other ones. We could make a different magical attack for each faction, but essentially chain lightning, fireball, icicle, they all exist with other factions. Could there... And we've got a shield. Every team has to have some kind of shield. Could we... have a charm, like it's a whip or something that charms enemies, that would charm your allies, which would be really horrible? Or can it just be something that's very specific to Atisalef? It's a very special move which just comes from her special. And then, yeah, we'll probably have to change the color of the health bars. So, yeah, HP bar dot get child transform dot get... No, okay, so color red. Where do we change the color of the HP bar? Here we go. Corpse.hp, but okay, so when we go to charm, so one of the things we'll do is so we go change to Charmer's team, go back to original team, change P bar color, revert HP bar color. So we have this little bit of code here, and then good, that's stored. But yeah, okay, for now we can just make it go green because we have decided, but what if it was the other team? So it's like if Charmer dot team is equal to team 0, which is the player's team, do that. Else and then we just do the reversing. Okay. Yeah, okay. That's each hero's ultimate. Program each new ultimate. That's done. Now it just needs testing and fixing. Make sure charm can never target hero. Well, we haven't got a weapon that does charm yet, so we don't need to worry about that. We will make sure we do that. If we made a weapon, we would just say this weapon cannot target the hero. Test, confirm, quit panel from options. Artifact, reroll stuff. Yeah, test and fix each hero's ultimate. But we probably want to do the effects first. And then just like test and fix, like playing as the undead. Update the builds. Because yeah, I'm going to want to make sure I do some bug fixing. Undead weapon S effects, this can go here. So I need to do a run of sound effects and getting into that headspace of doing sound effects. Unholy artifacts. Yeah, I mean, I might as well do that before testing. Combo achievements, that can go way down. Demons, change of name. And this visual stuff, and then some. I need to keep making YouTube videos. I've stopped making YouTube videos and shorts. They were really good. They brought people into the channel. I think YouTube like boosts me a bit more if I have them, but I'd rather keep making the game, to be honest, rather than advertising it. I should do both. I should be into a rhythm where I'm doing a bit of both. Ideally I would have like someone on my team to help me with marketing, but I don't. So I think that's a good one. I think this was a nice little session, and yeah, I guess I'll be back on at 1 to do some more, even if it's just testing and fixing and playing a bit. So thank you very much for joining the stream. I had 0 viewers at all, so I think YouTube's decided that this isn't a very good stream, but I'm glad it's up there for posterity. So yeah, thank you for watching if you watched this far, and